Good morning. My name is Romel Santiago, and I'm the owner and primary therapist here at Romeo Sensation LLC. So, welcome to my page. Welcome to Romeo Sensation LLC. And welcome on beginning your initial step in an amazing journey. Selecting a therapist is not as easy as most people think it is, right? We identify who we're going to mesh well with. We also are supposed to identify the type of therapy that is going to connect with us personally as well. There's a lot of things that go into selecting a therapist that's right for you. So, how we do therapy here at Romeo Sensation LLC is we strongly believe that therapy has a start and an end date. We believe that therapy is something that's going to be specifically catered to each individual. Not everybody's going to receive the exact same type of therapy or the exact same homework assignments or the exact same anything. What we believe here at Romeo Sensation LLC is that you are the expert in your life. We don't assume that we know anything about you. We don't assume that what works for another client is going to work for you. So what we do is we first begin with a biopsychosocial assessment. This is a very lengthy assessment, and it's typically done in the first session. So it looks at your biology, your psychology, your socio-cultural backgrounds, your spiritual beliefs. It looks at all of you. When somebody comes to therapy, they say, "Hey, Romel, Carrie, whatever therapist, this is what's going on." And this is a very, very, very small piece of the overall picture, right? So the biopsychosocial gives us as therapists the opportunity to identify if there's anything in the periphery that's not in the forefront of our vision, right? What's going on is right here, but there's all of these connecting factors that play into some of the strengths or supports that we have that we might not even be fully or consciously aware of. So the first piece is doing that thorough biopsychosocial. Typically, I like to tell clients that it's probably not going to be done within the first session. There's going to be a couple of leftover sessions that we pick up bits and pieces. But the primary focus of the first session is to collect all that information. Then what happens is we come up with an individualized treatment plan. This is a very broad direction on how therapy is going to move forward. We like to keep it broad because as therapy continues, different things may come in that may link to or not the presenting issue. So if you're coming in for depression and you begin entering into a relationship and there's communication difficulties, well, that is tied to the depression, but not always. So we want to be able to address the depression and the relationship issues by slowly addressing the depression and seeing what does fall into place and maybe what are some other things that we might be able to do to bring in some additional supports, some additional coping skills, some additional strategies. The next thing that happens is we, as therapists, identify what's going to be the best treatment modality for you. You'll see a lot of things on all of these therapy profiles that say, I specialize in CBT or DBT or MI or all of these acronyms. Here's a very brief synopsis of what these therapy techniques are. So we here at Romeo Sensation LLC specialize in cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, motivational interviewing or MI, DBT or dialectic behavioral therapy, sensate focus, and we also specialize in various trauma-focused therapies, whether that's trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, ART, or accelerated resolution therapy, or EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So there's a what does all of this mean? Well, cognitive behavioral therapy says that I have this action plus this belief, and that leads to this consequence or this outcome. Well, if I change the action, the belief doesn't necessarily have to change, but the outcome will. But if I change the belief, then the action doesn't necessarily have to change, but the outcome will. So as long as I change a piece of the puzzle, then the outcome's going to change. And motivational interviewing says that life is all about change. As human beings, we hate change. We do not voluntarily change until we're in enough pain. Motivational interviewing says there's stages of change that we go through, from pre-contemplation to contemplation to preparation to action to maintenance to relapse. How I do therapy is I couple motivational interviewing with cognitive behavioral therapy and sprinkle a little acceptance commitment therapy. All that means is change is evident. We're coming to therapy because we want to change. In order to change, we have to identify what stage of change and how to accept that change is going to be difficult. And that change doesn't mean that other people are going to be on board with it. So how can I accept the fact that other people may not like or be on board with the changes that I'm about to make? But these changes are things that I want to do. All of that is really what the change process is all about. Every therapist is going to do something different. Any therapist here at Romeo Sensation LLC is not going to do therapy exactly how I do. But we have very skilled therapists that are very involved. We believe in our core that you are the expert. So when we assign homework, when we talk about coping skills, when we do certain things, it's always catered to you. I'm not going to give one client the exact same homework that I'm going to give somebody else, expecting that the outcome's going to be the same. Now, when it comes to sex therapy, I do give certain clients very similar homework assignments, but the outcome is never going to be the same. The outcome is always going to be different. Everybody's going to get something different out of it, depending on their strengths, their supports, their resources, their stage of change. So when it comes to selecting a therapist that you're looking for, that's going to mesh well with you, that's going to get you to where you want to be, right? It's extremely important that you know at least some of the basics that you're looking for. Are you looking for a male, a female, a non-binary, a trans, a gender non-conforming, a penis individual, a vulva individual? What type of individual are you looking for? Do you feel as though you're going to connect the best with? Outside of sex and gender, what is the type of ethnic or racial background that you are going to mesh well with a therapist? Some individuals are looking for a Caucasian or a Greek or an African American or a Latino or a Caribbean, right? There's all of these different types of therapists. There's also religious or spiritual backgrounds. Some people, it is very important that their therapist identifies very closely with their specific religious or spiritual backgrounds. But not everybody is in need of those particular guidelines. Not everybody is in need of those particular parameters. So what are you looking for in terms of a therapist? Are you just looking for somebody who's going to be compassionate? Well, how do you know? And that leads me to my final point. When it comes to seeking a therapist, almost every therapist is going to offer some form of consultation. Some are free, some are not. Here at Romeo Sensation LLC, our consultation fee is $75. And in that session, we get a little bit more information on what brings you into therapy, and you get a little more information on our style of therapy. So you'll sit one-on-one with the therapist and identify, Is that therapist going to be the right fit? Am I missing something? Is the outlined plan going to be something that I can align with? If not, that's okay. That just means that that particular therapist is maybe not the right fit for you. What we want to do is we want to match you up with the best therapist for you. If that's within Romeo Sensation LLC. If not, there's a million, billion, cajillion other therapists out there, right? And we do not hold a monopoly on mental or behavioral health. The most important thing to us is that you receive the type of therapist that is going to work best for you. Now, there's a lot of things to take into consideration when choosing the right therapist for you. I hope this video assists you in your journey. And at the end of the day, I hope you have an amazing, wonderful journey in therapy and that it takes you to exactly where you want to be. I wish you an amazing rest of this beautiful day, and I will see you all soon.